how the play is going to end. The first one is a head that's been cut off and stuck on top of a stick. And it comes out of the cauldron and it says, "Beware Macduff. Beware the Thane of Fife." Fife is where Macduff lives. And Macbeth says, "I knew it. We're going to take care of him. I'm going to jack him." The second speaker comes out, and the second speaker is an infant that says, "No man born of a woman will ever harm you." And Macbeth reasons, well, since all men are born of a woman, I don't have to worry. I guess Macduff can live, but you know what? On second thought, I'll kill him anyway. The third prophecy is a strange one. It says, you don't have to worry about losing your kingdom, Inverness, your castle, until the woods, the forest of Brinham marches up the hill of Dunsinane where your castle sits. The castle sits at the top of a hill called Dunsinane. Inverness is the name of the castle. The hill is called Dunsinane. And the woods around are called Brinham Wood. And the prophecy is, when the woods jump up out of the ground and march up the hill against your castle, then you'll know you're in trouble. And Macbeth is like, trees can't jump up out of the ground. I'm done. I'm safe. But wait, he says, one more prophecy. I need to know. Banquo, will his kids ever be kings? And they're like, don't you ask this question? And they're like, no, I want to know the answer to this question. All right. And so they show king after king comes walking onto the stage, and the last one double sceptered, which means rules two kingdoms, not one, right? There's some politics being played here that we'll talk about later in a different lecture, where Shakespeare's playing a little game. James I was first the King of Scotland and then became the King of England. James I has in his lineage a cat named Banquo as part of his lineage. Shakespeare playing a little political game to kind of say to James I, hey, listen, if you're going to identify with any man in this play, it's not going to be Macbeth, it's going to be Banquo. Macbeth then makes a really disturbing decision. He says, I am told that Macduff has left and gone to England. I'm going to send killers, assassins, to the castle of Macduff. Fife is where he lives. And I'm going to have every single person in that castle killed. His wife, his children, all his servants. I'm going to slaughter every one of them. Whoa! At the conclusion of Macbeth 4:1, we know that Lady Macduff, the wife of Macduff, her children, and all the servants, dead. Act 4, Scene 2, you'll hear in a later lecture, no question the most important scene of the entire play. Lady Macduff is there talking with Ross. Lady Macduff says it out loud. I cannot believe my husband, Macduff, left us alone and unprotected. It's insane. Why would he do that? And he fled to England? He must be a traitor. And Ross says, no, he's not a traitor. He's not a traitor. He's a good man. And she says, why would he leave us unprotected? And then all of a sudden, Macduff's little boy comes on stage. And she says, look, this little boy doesn't have a daddy anymore. Is this so sad? Ross will leave and say, don't worry, it can't get any worse. Dark irony, given what's about to happen. There's an exchange between mother and son. The boy asks, was my dad a traitor? Yes, she says he was. Well, what do you do with traitors? Well, they get hanged. The boy asks, well, who hangs traitors? The good guys. The good guys hang the traitors, the bad guys. And the little boy says, well, that's kind of dumb. Why don't all the bad guys get together and kill all the good guys, and then they can just take over the world? Of course, the mom laughs. We don't laugh because we understand that's exactly what we've been watching. The really bad guys are taking over the world, Macbeth, and killing all the good guys, right? Then onto the stage, tragically, will come assassins. They will kill the little boy. They will kill Lady Macduff. They will kill everybody in the castle. End of scene. 4:3 will open with Macduff and Malcolm speaking together, and it is clear Macduff does not know his wife and children have all been slaughtered. Macduff's job is to talk with Malcolm and say, I want you to come back to Scotland. We've got to fight and kill Macbeth, and then you can take over the kingdom which has naturally been given to you by your father. By the end of this scene, however, Ross shows up. Macduff asks about his wife and children, and Ross will tell him, it's not good. Your wife, dead. Your children, slaughtered. Macduff is outraged. He left Scotland. He knew Macbeth was a bad guy, but he had no idea it could be that bad. Killing innocents? Wives? Children? At the end of the fourth act, we know how the play is going to end. We are going to come together, both Macbeth and Macduff, and they're going to have to fight. And obviously Macduff's going to have every reason to want to fight imaginable. If you've ever watched a movie where there's a really, really bad villain who does something really terrible, and you know that at the end of the movie, the good guy and that villain are going to end up together, this is, of course, one of the famous motifs here. Shakespeare playing this game well. The fifth act opens with Lady Macbeth. She has gone nuts. She can't sleep at night. She has a guilty conscience for all of the terrible things that have happened. She walks in her sleep. She does this freaky thing where she tries to wash blood off of her hands. And she keeps doing this. Obviously, her hands have no blood on them, right? But she believes, right, that what she has done is something really terrible. But here's the problem. She can't undo it. The doctor will tell Macbeth a little bit later, there is stuff I can't fix. And this lady, she's got some serious psychological problems. And then a little bit later, she will kill herself. So follow the way that this happens. Lady Macbeth will begin, this incredibly strong, really evil woman. And by the end of the play, you can't help but pity her some, because she's made choices she can't live with. And so in the end, she takes her own life. Macbeth, as soon as she dies, will speak the most famous soliloquy of the play. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in its petty pace from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time. He says, all our life is like a little candle that glows for a while and then it's out. He says that life is like an idiot who tells a tale full of sound and fury but signifying nothing. In the meantime, coming up from England is Malcolm and Macduff. To hide their numbers, they cut down trees and carry the branches, right, up the hill of Dunsinane so that the people in Inverness can't tell how many soldiers they have. A soldier or a servant comes in and says, Macbeth, you're not going to believe what's happening, but the forest is walking up the mountain. And of course Macbeth looks and he's like, oh no. But he still says it. At least I know no man born of a woman can ever harm me. The attack on the castle ensues. Macbeth comes face to face with Macduff. And Macbeth will say to Macduff, you don't want any of this. You need to just stand down now. I've already taken enough of your blood. And Macduff says, I'm not interested in talking. I'm about to jack you. And Macbeth goes, you can't kill me because no man born of a woman can ever harm me. And Macduff says, well, that's interesting. I was from my mother's womb untimely ripped. Now what this means is, when you are carried as a child, you hang upside down, right? As you get ready to be born, from your mother, your head is what has to come out first of your mother's womb, right? If you are the opposite way, what we today call breech birth, you cannot be born that way. And in Shakespeare's day, today that's not a big deal, is it, right? You can make a small incision in the mother's womb, you can take the child out and sew it back, it's not a big deal. But in Shakespeare's day, if this happened, you had to do something really tragic. You had to just cut the mother's womb open and take the child out, and the mother, of course, immediately would die. And the child then could at least live. So this is how Macduff was born, and he says, I was from my mother's womb untimely ripped. And it's at that point that Macbeth realizes that all the prophecies have gone against him. And so they fight. Off stage, they fight. On stage comes Macduff, carrying Macbeth's head on top of a post. Okay? And at the very end of the play, Malcolm is restored back to power. Now let's talk themes for just a second. Notice, he got what he wanted, but he lost what he had. Now you can write down already how you understand that mantra. Macbeth wanted power, he got power. But what did he lose? Obviously, all kinds of opportunities to be a real man. Number two, this is a play about deception It's a play about hypocrisy. Lady Macbeth will say to her husband, look like the innocent flower, but be the serpent under it. You go out into the garden. You're going to pick a flower. You reach over to pick a pretty flower. From behind the flower, bam, a cobra bites your hand. That's her word picture to her husband. Look like the innocent flower, but be the serpent under it. This is a play about deception. It's a play about who do you know you can trust and how do you know you can trust other people. An introduction to the play Macbeth. We'll come back now and we'll begin to exegete line by line of each scene. And of course that will help you to be able to understand even better what this amazing play is about. Thank you. Okay, guys.